I'm Carl Nasman in Washington, and this is BBC World News America. As fighting rages on in Gaza, negotiators present a new proposal for a ceasefire and hostage release between Israel and Hamas. Kamala Harris unveils her economic policy aimed at tackling stubbornly high prices. Plus, Ukrainian forces destroy a strategic river bridge in Russia's Kursk region as their cross-border incursion continues. Welcome to World News America. I'm Carl Nasman. We start in the Middle East, where Gaza ceasefire talks are on pause. Mediators say that they're aiming for an agreement in the coming weeks. The U.S., Egypt, and Qatar released a joint statement saying that they presented to both Israel and Hamas a proposal consistent with the one laid out by U.S. President Joe Biden back in May. They say, quote, that the proposal builds on areas of agreements over the past week and bridges remaining gaps in the manner that allows for a swift implementation of the deal. The statement goes on to say that senior officials from our governments will reconvene in Cairo before the end of next week with the aim of concluding the deal under the terms put forward today. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be heading to Israel on Sunday. He'll be meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday. President Biden, meanwhile, sounded optimistic about a potential deal. Take a listen.
One of the reasons why I was late for you all was I was dealing with the ceasefire effort in the Middle East. And we are closer than we've ever been. I don't want to jinx anything, but as my grandfather would say, with the grace of God, good little neighbors, a lot of luck, we may have something. But we're not there yet. But it's much, much closer than it was 3 days ago. So keep your fingers crossed. Thank you.
Well, before his expected meeting with Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu urged mediators to pressure Hamas to accept a deal. Our State Department correspondent Tom Bateman has more. And as fighting rages in Gaza, disease is spreading throughout the enclave. The United Nations is calling for guaranteed pauses in fighting to allow a vaccination campaign to tackle polio. Palestinian officials say that they've recorded Gaza's first polio case in a quarter century, and now hundreds of thousands of people there are at risk. As part of a potential rollout, the World Health Organization has approved the release of 1.6 million doses of the polio vaccine. Antonio Guterres of the UN says that's enough to protect 340,000 children under the age of 10. All right, let's get more now with Michael Singh, Managing Director at the Washington Institute and a former Senior Director for Middle East Affairs at the National Security Council. Michael, always great to have you on. I just want to start off by asking you about President Biden. He sounded optimistic, saying we're closer than ever to a ceasefire agreement. Do you share his optimism? U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has unveiled her first major policy initiative as the Democratic nominee for president. She spoke Friday in the battleground state of North Carolina, where Donald Trump also campaigned this week. Ms. Harris unveiled a slate of economic policies aimed at lowering costs for American families. Now, they include creating financial incentives for hospitals to relieve or prevent further medical debt, a federal ban on so-called price gouging on food and groceries, and a child tax credit that would provide $6,000 per child to families for the first year of a baby's life. Now, if elected president, Ms. Harris says that her economic agenda will aim to create an opportunity economy for Americans.
Still, we know that many Americans don't yet feel that progress in their daily lives. Costs are still too high. And on a deeper level, for too many people, no matter how much they work, it feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. As president, I will be laser focused on creating opportunities for the middle class that advance their economic security, stability, and dignity. Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy.
Polls show that Donald Trump has a slight edge over Ms. Harris on handling the economy, which is the top issue for voters. Mr. Trump has yet to release a detailed economic plan, but he's criticized the Biden-Harris administration for high prices and has pledged to lower costs if he's elected. His running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, defended Mr. Trump on the campaign trail in Wisconsin on Friday. Here's what he said when asked if Trump should be focusing more on policy than making pointed criticism of his political opponents. Well, joining me now is our North America correspondent, Nomia Iqbal. Great to have you here, Nomia. We heard there Kamala Harris laying out her economic agenda. How different do you think those policies are from President Biden's Bidenomics platform? We want to take a closer look now at the U.S. economy and in particular those rising prices that have plagued the Biden administration. A recent consumer index report showed inflation at 2.9%. That's the lowest rate we've seen in 3 years. It's way down from a peak of 9.1% in 2022 caused by pandemic-era supply chain disruptions and high demand. So while inflation is going in the right direction, prices are still going up, just not as fast as they once were. Supermarkets have yet to pass on their savings to consumers. Kamala Harris says that she plans to fight this by levying fines on grocery stores that impose excessive price hikes on customers. Well, joining me now is Heather Long, economics columnist at The Washington Post. What do economists say about these kind of proposals from Kamala Harris? How effective could they be at tackling inflation, something like a federal ban on what she's calling price gouging on food? Well, Friday marks 1 week since the brutal rape and murder of a trainee doctor in a government hospital in India's eastern city of Kolkata. Doctors across the country have stopped all non-emergency services and hospitals and are protesting in large numbers, demanding justice and safe workplaces. India's top crime agency is investigating that case. Our reporter Archana Shukla has more from Mumbai. We can finish with some pretty amazing pictures of a rarely seen deep-sea fish. A group of snorkelers spotting the silvery 3.6-meter-long oarfish floating on the ocean surface off the San Diego coast. It's only the 20th time that an oarfish is known to have washed up in California since 1901. You see it there floating in the ocean. Remember, you can always get more on our website, bbc.com/news. I'm Carl Nasman. Thank you for watching World News America.